or the walkway, the straight and narrow path, as we like to call it. And even though it's commonly referred to as path of the just, it's the idea is that it has a nice, straight, and easy way to go. Not so easy going today, because today we're going to look at the Midah of Zerizus. So now that we know how to be careful and basically read the laws and read the ingredients and read our responsibilities, so after Zahirus comes Zerizus. So it's not enough to simply say, hey, this is a good thing to do. We have to not only know that it's a good thing to do, but that it's an important thing to do. So we are now going to explain the Midah of Zerizus. So we are in Mesilas Yesharim chapter 6, Beveur Midas HaZerizus, explaining the trait of zealousness. Achar hazehirus yavo hazerizus, ki hazehirus sovev al ha lo sase, v'hazerizus al ha ase, v'hainu sur meira v'ase tov. So we often stress this idea that it's not just enough to stay away from the bad things, but also means having to go do the good things. So just like that, zehirus keeps us from the don't do's, and zerizus turns us towards the do's. Let's focus on the doing today. V'inyanos shel hazerizus v'voar shehu ha'akdama lemitzvos u'lahashlamas inyanim. L'chilshon haza'amru zichron livracha zerizim makdimim lemitzvos. So the main focus of the term zerizus, of zealousness, is introducing us to mitzvos and the completion of an idea. Meaning that when we say you want to not get sucked into those bad traits that we were talking about in Zahirus, well, we say that the people who are zealous, they are the ones who take an early step towards performing mitzvahs. That's a Gemara in Pesachim. V'zeh k'mo shetzarich pikchos gadol v'hashkafa rabba lenatzel mimokshe hayetzer lehimalek min hara shelo yishlot banu ulehisarev ma'asenu. Kain sarich pikchus gadol v'hashkafa le'achos v'mitzvos ulizchos behem v'lo sovadna menu. So just like we were saying that we had to have a significant amount of intellectual honesty with ourselves and have a good lay of the land when it came to saving ourselves from when, like I said at the end of the last chapter, that we want to stay away from the trappings of our inclination to not do stuff, the Yetzer Hara, basically. And we don't want to get stuck in that. So we have to then focus our attention and our ability to take a look at things into not getting lost in staying away from mitzvahs. So we want to look to do mitzvahs. So just like the Yetzer Hara wants to drag you down into the pit of sin and drag you to do bad things, it's also trying to keep you from doing good things. So it takes two steps. It wants to drag you to do bad, and it wants to prevent you from doing good. So it's the opposite. Then what will happen is, if you are going to just let your guard down and be lazy about these things, and you're not going to take the initiative to chase after the mitzvos and to make sure that they are steadfast, that's what at least smoch really means, really put them down in a sure way, then you're going to be left bereft, like shaken out, like bereft of all of these mitzvos for sure. V'sira ki teva ha'adam kaved me'od, ki afrius hachomrius gas, al ken lo yachpot ha'adam b'torach u'malacha, u'misha rotza lizkos la'avodas habore, yizbarach, sarich shizgaber negativo asmo v'yizgaber v'yizdares. So what should happen is that a person who has a nature to them which seems to drag them down into the most earthly parts of themselves in the world, like the pressures of life are just weighing you down. So a person then has to have the desire to not get sucked into only doing work and toiling with things that aren't really in the service of his creator. So if you want to do those things, you have to strengthen yourself. And you have to change your nature and become zealous towards that. Okay? Humasha Hatana. This is an Avos Hey Chaf. Have a Az Kanamer Kalkanesha Ratskatsvi Gibor Kari Lasos. It's on a vehicle to Rashamayim. V'chein Manu Chacham Zichon Livracha. Bidvarm Hatzrichim Chizuk Torah Umasim Taifim Umikra Malehu Chazek ve'amatz me'od lishmor la'asos kechol Torah asher tzivacha Moshe Avdi ki chizuk gadol tzrich l'mi sherotze l'chpos hatava el hefcho. So you don't want to leave yourself towards this natural tendency to be dragged into the needs of this world. So you need to go ahead and focus on what the Mishnah says, especially what the Tana says on Avos. Okay, well, it's Avos 5:20. That you should have the brazen face of the leopard. That you should be flying high as an eagle. You should be fast as the deer and strong as a lion to fulfill the commands of your Father in heaven. And we say this every single morning. Honestly, I'm meta saying this now. Many students start with this statement, and the tour opens with this statement. It's been driven in for many years that this is the first thing that we should focus on in the morning, almost as early as when we say Moda Ani, is this idea. Furthermore, the things that needed to have more attention paid to them so that they become stronger. The Gemara in Brachos 32b, it says you have to have Torah and good deeds. They need to be constantly improved. You have to constantly give them strengthening, like tighten the screws, lubricate the moving parts. And we also say from Yehoshua that a person should be strong and courageous, right? Ve'ematz, all right? That you should do the Torah. And you need to do all those things in order not to be bent down towards the ground, but to be standing upright and going forward. Hine Shlomo shana me'od ba'azharaso al zabir oso es roa ha'atzlus v'ha'hefsed ha'gadol ha'nimshach mimena v'amar ma'at shenos ma'at tenumos ma'at chibuk yadayim lishkov uva ki mahalech roshecha u'machsorcha ki ish magen ki hine ha'atzel afal pi she'enu oser rabu kum aseh hine hu mevi esara alav v'shevi al tasa shalo. And this is further strengthened in the book of Mishlei by Shlomo HaMelech, when he warns us about what he observed in a person who has succumbed to the wicked ways of laziness and of letting things just go by you and being drawn into being lazy. And he said it the following way: you shluff a little, you go a little deeper into sleep, you just put your hands down, you do nothing, right? You do nothing. So you will see you'll see that you'll be visited by poverty. That you will be found as a you'll be found by impoverishment. Okay, and that's saying that being a lazy person, you're not trying to do bad things. It's just that there's gonna be bad things that happen to you as a result of not being active. V'amar, he further says to Mishlei, Gam misrape b'malachto ach hu leval mashchis. Ki afal pisha enenu mahamashkes ha'osa es hara'a biyadav lo tachashov sehu rachok mimena ela achiv hu uven gilohu. So what we further say is that when you are being lax in performing your work, then you are a brother to the person who is a destroyer, right? A bal mashchis, the head destroyer, right? So even though you're not destroying it yourself, you are a big contributor by not giving a hand, and you shouldn't consider this being just a foreign idea. Rather, you are within that group. All right, the being an observer is just as bad as being a contributor. Amar Olivar Ra'as Ha'atzel, B'Veir Tziyuri, U'Mashi Yekra V'Yivalid Eno Yom Yom. Al sedei ish atzel avarti, v'al kerem adam chasar lev, v'hinei alachulo kimshonim kamo kasu panav charulim, v'echaz anochi ashis libi ra'isi lekachti musar ma'at shinos ma'at tenumos uva mishalech rishacha. And if you go further into the verses themselves, where it says this in Pasuk Chav Daled, okay. So he revisits this whole idea about being lazy. If you go through the whole chapter, he says it's not that you yourself are lazy. It's that this is what you observe in the lazy person. He's the one who has a field that is full of thorns. And you have to say, yeah, if it's all overgrown, clearly I'm passing the home of a lazy man. And what's he doing? That's what we just said. That you see. He is a sleeping person, a lazy person. He's constantly leaving his hands down, and you see the poverty of it. But not just you see it in him, you see it as something that you can observe easily, and your actions show that you're much like a soldier in the army, like you want a shield to protect yourself, and you just can't. So these incorporate verses 30 through 34. V'hine milavad pshuto asher hu amiti kamashma osha hu masha kore el sedei ha'atzem amish he dar shubo chachamim zichron levracha midrash na'eh bezel shonam. Okay, so we're going to read now a midrash. It's from the Yalkut, and it's on these verses over here. And the actual source is the Yalkut Mishlei. It's in number 247. That's the chapter number, and numbers 961 is the source I have over here. So it means that they're all listed on the side. I think the citation is incorrect. I think it's Yalkut Mishlei 24. I think that citation is in error. I will check that later. Okay, so we say that you go and you see the field covered with thorns. Okay, so the Midrash goes through all these things. So you see it covered with thorns. Okay, so what happens is that you're trying to understand something, and your understanding is you can't find it. You can't figure it out. Okay, and then we said it was covered with more brush. All right, that's part of the laziness of it, and so the Midrash explains that since you didn't go ahead and clear out this brush and clear out these weeds, so what you're really doing is making pure things impure, and you're making impure things pure, okay? And you are destroying the guards set up by Talmid Chachamim, right? You're a poretz geder. So what's your punishment? Uporetz geder nachash yishachenu, okay? Yishachenu nachash, excuse me. And so your punishment is to be bitten by a snake. The Midrash continues and says that Hainu kiras ha'atzel eina ba b'vas achas ele ma'at ma'at below sheyeda v'yargishu ba ki hinehu nimshach meira'a el ra'a ad shi matzeh tavua b'sachlis hara'a. So what happens over here is it's not that you do one bad thing. The destructive principle of laziness is that it builds and it compounds, and you don't even notice it because it comes slowly. It's like weight gain, lahavdil, right? And ultimately, it leads to a very bad situation. And the truth is that it actually negates any effort you have been putting into other projects. So he's like, and then now you want to get yourself out of it. You're like, I'm going to learn Torah now, but you can't learn Torah now because you just lost the skills to even learn Torah, right? So what you got to do, you're going to buy the art scroll, right? That's what it comes down to. You should be able to learn it like from the Mekayos. Right? I think that's the biggest thing, is that you should be able to learn the things, right? He's saying you're going to not be able to do that. You're going to be so drawn into the ways of this world. And if you think that that's where it stops, no. It goes from there. It just increases. Ach od misrabev holechas b'mashav so al kol panim liyashiv haparasha v'haperakahu hine yigale ba panim shlo kalacha v'yashkis ha'emes v'yahapcha v'yavor al hatakanos yifrotz es hagederim. He says it's going to basically pull you as hard as it can into getting as far away from the proper path as possible, because when you're not taking effort into it and you don't know how to use halacha properly, so then you do the wrong things. You don't look at the right sections, you don't look at the right chapters, you come up with the wrong decision of the halacha, and you destroy things that should be true. That's what it's actually yashchis emes. You destroy things that should be true, and you flip it to the other side, right? Look no further than what we experience in our own day and age. People can't even they will make up stories and peddle it around like it's true, and it incesses you. You should get angry at how bad this all is. V'sofel klalya v'mishpat kol poretz kader. And the truth is that the true judgment, he doesn't say from whom it comes, but the true judgment is his destruction. Okay, of everyone who preaches all of the logic that went into preparing these fences. Amar Shlomo ve'echaz anochi ashis libi. Hisbonanti al davar zevar isi godol harash shebo hushahu ke'eres haholach u'mispashet me'at me'at te'ein ve'u laso ni keres ad hamisa v'zehu ma'at shenos uvaki mahalich reishecha u'machsorcha ke'ish magen. And so that's why when he says that I'm observing the lazy person and I set my heart to this and I really think about it, I see just how bad it is. It's like a poison that just goes and spreads the entire body, and it just takes its time, and it just continues to go through. And you don't see what it does until the person's finally gone. And that's what it means by the little bit of sleep is really to your detriment. And that's just going to come to your end as if you're passed through. And so and it's something that we can ourselves see, an unfortunate reality, that when a person tries to understand what he needs to do in this world, for his obligations to this world, and what will help him be profitable and successful, and he sees what those obligations are, and if he discharges those obligations inappropriately, it's not because he didn't know what he needed to do, it's because he kind of refused to what to do. He let the laziness drag him down. Arehu omer ochel kima o ishan kima o kasha lailat seis mi basi pashati eskutanti eicha albashana chama azava olam hakar rabba o hagasham holshar ha'am misla os vahata onos asher alpia hat salim malay mehem. Venkach hatorah munachas vahavodo mivateles pa'adam oze vesboro. And so we see tons of quotes throughout Shlomo Melech's work. And he actually says, I'll eat a little bit, I'll drink a little bit, I'll sleep a little bit, which actually from Megorah and Brachos. He says, I'll take off my coat, how can I get dressed again? These are all quotes from Shir Yesharim. And the idea is that you need to be really clear about all of these different things that could stop you, the cold, the rain, and other occurrences and other events that could simply lead to more laziness. And there the Torah sits, nothing being done, and a person forgets his creator. And that's why we say with laziness weakens the overhead trusses. Okay? And that's why the ceiling begins to sag. So that's because without taking responsibility, without using your hands to fix things, the house begins to creak. Yidlaf. It begins to leak. Ve'ulam im tish'al es pi ha'atzel yavo lecha b'ma'amarim rabim u'ma'amari ha'chachamim ha'makar ha'mikraos min ha'ksuvim v'ha'ta'anos min ha'seichel asher kulam yoru lo lefi da'ato ha'mushubeshes l'haka olav l'ha'nicho b'menuchas atzluso. Now, let's say you have a talk with the lazy guy. You go, I think you're lazy. Well, he's going to give you all of the important citations that are going to be from all of the rabbis and all the proofs in the world justifying this lazy behavior and why he can take it easy on himself and why he feels pretty happy being this way. V'yosa he goverespo mita dato v'sichlo el ha'tainos ha'ela asher lo yishma halakol ha'chamim v'anshe hadas v'hanachona hu ma sheshlomo tzivach v'omer chacham atzel be'einav mishive tam. So he says the person over here is just looking for all of these reasons to not complete any of his tasks. And these reasons themselves aren't really born from something that he has created intellectually. It comes from the source of all laziness. And by being stuck in that laziness, he's going to see that he's going to incline himself and his thought processes towards the laziness stuff. And he's not going to listen to the real wise people. In fact, he's going to focus on what we say in Mishlei chapter 26, that the lazy person is wise in his own eyes more than the seven sensible people, right? And seven sensible people are usually, we call them Sheva Tovei Ha'ir, are the seven people who have the best interest of the city at heart. Ki ha'atzus einenu minachas lo sheyeh afilu chashal divrei ha'muchichim oso, ele yachshav hakol lesoim, v'shotim v'hu levado chacham. The real problem with laziness is that you're so lazy you can't even listen to the people who have the experience, who have this is the conservatism at its best. You can learn from those who have already had the experience, and instead of learning from them, you say that they're crazy and they're making mistakes, and you yourself are the only wise person. Annam karav hadavar sheyeh me'etzos hayetzer mir mosav. Alken tzrich livdok achareha b'chakiros udrishos rabos. Hiwachakol ele pitzak va'eshehi tova. So he says this is really the main thing that one can see from all of these, from engagement in all of these traits of separatists. You might think that a leniency in your practice would be something okay, but you need to check it out a little bit. You have to see if it's something that could be a true and righteous decision, or it could be something that's really close to I'm just not going to do it because I get that natiya, I get that movement from my own person. It's something that wells up from within and pulls me in that direction. So you need to make sure that when I'm doing certain things, even if it's an easy thing, that I've thought about it a little bit, and it seems like it's still a good thing to do. Klalo shel davar. Chizuk gadol tzarich ha'adam lehischazek lehisgaber b'zrizus la'asos hamitzvos v'hashlicho me'alav kaved ha'atzos ha'makeves hazeh. So here we go. You become more zealous by tossing off the binds of laziness and by engaging yourself in activities that strengthen your connection to mitzvos. Let's talk about the angels for a second at the conclusion of this chapter. We see by the angels it says Giburi koach osei devaro lishmoa b'kol devaro. Right? That's what they do. They listen. They listen to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'hachayos ritzov v'shov kamara habazak v'dei adav v'lo balach. And you see the angels respond quickly and swiftly, like the appearance of the lightning. And here a person does his person things. He doesn't do angel things. So a person can't really be expected to do angel type responses. Whatever, the closest you can get to an angel like that behavior, that's what we're aiming for with Jesus. And this is how King David begins to talk about the performance of mitzvos. He says there, I do them as quickly as I can, and I do not waste time to keep your commandments. Okay? Hismama is the idea of waiting. Thank you for joining us this week, and we look forward to speaking with you next time about how Zrizos breaks down, and we will continue that in our next week. Take care.